Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals. This upcoming weekend they will be heading to Buffalo, and they are a 5.5 point underdog at the time of this video. And I guess I can understand it because Buffalo is at home and you already get a little bit of love just in general from that. But Joe Burrow repeatedly in the playoffs, I don't know what he needs to do. I would imagine the only answer is win a Super Bowl. It's not enough to get to the Super Bowl, but I know America's team are the Dallas Cowboys technically, but it kind of feels like it's the Buffalo Bills. It seems like everybody wants the Buffalo Bills to succeed, and Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, they fly so under the radar. Now, when you pair those two up against each other, because to me it's going to come down to the quarterback play, specifically with the turnovers. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the video, but Joe Burrow is 4-1 in his postseason career, averaging about 263 yards per game, 7-2 total touchdown to turnover rating, and the rating's 97.7. So very talented. But on the other hand, Josh Allen 4-3, 296 yards per game, 15 touchdowns, 5 turnovers for a rating of 104.6. When you put it like that, it does seem like Josh Allen, and he has had a very successful NFL career, and I feel bad for kind of ragging on him a little bit because he follows my golf company, but they're susceptible to the turnovers. My point is, it's not like Josh Allen is a bad quarterback by any means, but Joe Burrow, to me, is a phenomenal QB. He's just maybe not as necessarily quote-unquote flashy as Josh Allen is. Josh Allen, kind of the hero-type football player, the QB who makes the plays that make you go, wow. Joe Burrow's a little bit more systematical. It's a little bit more accurate where he makes these throws, he has these consistent games, and it's still very, very good. Like, I would take Joe Burrow over Josh Allen in this football game, which is what I'm doing, but maybe it's not necessarily as flashy sometimes. So, welcome back to the channel. Obviously, we're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals in tonight's video. If you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit the like button, hit that sub button if you guys enjoy it. One of the reasons I'm making this video here today is because I started covering the Bengals not too long ago. It was a couple of months ago, and I get that Baltimore game wasn't necessarily beautiful. It wasn't necessarily pretty, but this is a Cincinnati team where last year they had a brutal offensive line. They were 10-7. They were not expected to do anything crazy, and they made it to the Super Bowl. And they lost to the Rams, who put in a ton of money. They were completely overpowered, and to me, it's a huge success. It's a huge success. And the Cincinnati Bengals have not lost a football game in the longest time. They have not lost technically in almost 3 months. Their last loss came at Cleveland all the way back on Halloween. That is the month of October. Now, I get it. Cincinnati, they have the second best rated defense. They have Josh Allen. They have a very talented team. The whole Damar Hamlin situation as well. These two teams met up not too long ago, the game that ended up getting suspended. But I still feel so confident in the Cincinnati Bengals. And I know that the disrespect is real, and I know that it's there, and it's something I very quickly, very easily picked up on in my brief time of covering this team. And, we saw Joe Mixon earlier today or yesterday come out here and say selling tickets to the neutral AFC Championship in Atlanta is quote-unquote disrespectful, and I understand it. I totally get why you can feel that way. But what I need from Joe Mixon is to have more than one touchdown in the next 6 games. And it got me thinking. I'm curious, Bengals fans, go ahead, drop a comment down below. Will Joe Mixon be the starting running back for the Cincinnati Bengals next season, regardless of this upcoming weekend, regardless of how the rest of the playoffs go for the Bengals? Is Joe Mixon going to be the starting running back for this team next year? Let me know down below. Now, part of the reason I feel so good about Cincinnati is that offensive line, and to a lot of people, it's their quote-unquote weakness. Well, Buffalo's offensive line is not necessarily perfect either. They're going to be going up against, at left guard, Roger Saffold, and he, PFF-wise, ranks 72nd out of 77 guards this season. He's given up only 2 sacks, but he gives up a bunch of pressures, and he's had 10 penalties on the season. That's not it, though. You also have Spencer Brown over at the right tackle position. 24 years old, he allowed 7 pressures against the Miami Dolphins. That is not good. That is 4 times in 15 starts that he has allowed 6 or more pressures. We know who the Bengals have on that defensive line. You got guys like B.J. Hill, Logan Wilson in general, Sam Hubbard on the line. There are so many threats, and we know that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be putting pressure on the Buffalo Bills offensive line regardless of who's starting, regardless of who's playing, regardless of who they're going up against team-wise. The Bengals defense, although the Bills do have the second best rated defense, the Cincinnati Bengals are not far off by any way, shape, or form. They have the 6th best defensive rating on the season. They give up just 20 points per game. So to me, there's a couple of things that could go a long way for Cincinnati, obviously putting pressure on the quarterback. But I think at the end of the day, the turnover battle is going to win this football game. It's most likely going to be a high-scoring game despite the 2 top 6 defenses going up against each other. The year's 2023 and these offenses are as overpowered as ever. But we know, once again, Josh Allen is susceptible to that turnover. Whether it's a fumble, whether it's an interception, no disrespect to Josh Allen, he's a great quarterback, but we know he's susceptible to giving up turnovers. So to me, if Cincinnati can just do what they do what they've been doing for a long time, do what they've done all season, do what they've been doing in some of these big time games like the Sam Hubbard, fumble return this past week against Baltimore, the Tampa Bay game where they were just forcing turnover after turnover after turnover, that Patriots game week 17 on Christmas Eve where they got a huge turnover in the second half of the football game to seal the deal with the clock ticking down, game on the line essentially. I have full faith that the Bengals defense is going to show up. And like I said, the Bengals offensive line, I know they're dealing with injuries. I know they've dealt with injuries all season. But if we take a look at last year's offensive line, this O-line has made so many improvements from last season, and they still made the Super Bowl. They still took down some really talented football teams like the Tennessee Titans, although they're also a team that kind of, I get the disrespect now because they're, quickly declined. But at the time, they were the number 1 seed in the AFC. They took down the Kansas City Chiefs. So, man, I don't know. I feel so good about this Bengals team. And in general, I'm just excited for a really good football game because, Bengals-Bills. Divisional round. That is as good as they come. And I don't care about what happens in the AFC Championship game, neutral field, tickets being sold, possibly going to Kansas City. I don't care what the deal is. I really don't. I'm focused on a Bengals victory. And let me know what you guys are thinking about this upcoming playoff game, Sunday, 3 o'clock Eastern. More importantly, go ahead, drop some comments down below. But as always, hit that like button, hit that sub button for more Bengals and NFL content. That's it for me. Peace.